We got the AFC is completely wide open. Let's check
We
this
are in the midst of
out.
the NFL offseason, and
I
this is a time to sit back and get excited about the next few months. It's a time to look at the
you
moves
gotta
your
remind me of this
franchise made
game,
this
dog.
offseason and project which players are going to step up and how your team can get better from where they were last year. And over the past decade, the AFC has largely been a competition of who's going to get to play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And from the
Facts.
moment Patrick Mahomes took the starting job in 2018, the earliest the Chiefs lost in the playoffs between 2018 and 2024 was the AFC Championship game. But 2025 was different. The Chiefs were not the same old Chiefs, and they lost a lot more one-score games than in years past and finished with a top 10 draft pick. And with where the conference is now, I truly think the AFC is more wide open than ever before. And in today's video, we're going to go
Yeah, you
division
got
by division.
Mahomes coming off a torn ACL, dog. So we go see how he comes off of that. Pause. You know what I'm saying? We go see how he plays off of that. Cause like with ACL injuries, dog, that's like it's a little up in the air of how you gonna perform. Are you gonna be like the same player? Are you gonna be a shell of your former self, bro? You know what I'm saying? So we gonna see how Mahomes comes back from that.
And break down why the AFC is so wide open compared to years past. And there's a lot to break down, and if you could like the video before we start, a football will appear when you do and would be very much appreciated. And with that preface out of the way, let's begin.
I
And we are starting today's video by breaking down the AFC South. The Jags won the AFC South in 2025 in the first year under head coach Liam Cohen, and the Jags finished 6th in points per game offensively and 8th in points per game defensively. I think the Jags quietly have one of the best collective coaching staffs in the NFL, as not only is Liam Cohen the head coach, but Grant Udinski is the offensive coordinator, and Anthony Campanelli is the defensive coordinator. And Trevor Lawrence had the best year of his career in 2025, as he threw for over 4,000 yards
yeah,
and had
he
38
looked
total
like football
touchdowns.
Jesus
You
last
can
year,
make an
bro.
argument he did this
Like
all
Clemson,
without a true
Law.
number one wide receiver, and I do acknowledge Parker Washington had a good year, and I really like him moving forward and think he is an underrated player, but at the same time, is he a top 10 receiver opposing teams game plan around? No, and that's fine.
Not right now, but is it crazy to say that Parker Washington, like with the right development, you know what I'm saying, and the right amount of targets, bro? Do y'all think that Parker Washington could eventually become a top 10 receiver? Because like honestly, when Puka was coming out the draft, nobody really saw him as a top 10 receiver, let alone what a top 3 receiver in the league now. You know what I'm saying? Top 5. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I got a lot of faith in Parker Washington really stepping up into that role, especially if BTJ doesn't really, lock in this season, which I expect him to. There has been some rumors about him maybe getting traded. I highly doubt that. But Parker Washington, like I think last year was the first time that he really even saw like fair amount of targets. And he came to play last year, bro, especially in the playoff game against the Bills. So I think it's not crazy to say that he could turn into a top 10 receiver in the
Oh,
league,
Jags
man.
fans have heard
Do I
everything
think he's gonna be
about their
top 5?
2026
No,
draft, and
but
I did not like their draft
could be
either,
like
but
around like
I
top 10,
also
top
think the
15
Jags have
range.
a considerably high floor because they have a lot of things going their way. They have two good coordinators that will probably be head coaches at some point. They have a 26-year-old quarterback in his prime who looks to finally be living up to the draft hype, and they have two good and hell, one great pass rusher to be able to get after the quarterback in Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker. They also
I
won
think Trayvon
13
Walker
games
was
last
hurt
year
most
and
of last
nearly
year
beat the
too,
Bills
so
in the wild card round. And they beat Denver in
that's
week
why his
16 by two
stats don't
touchdowns
really
in
look
Denver.
that good. But
So if they would have beat
still a great player,
Buffalo, who knows
and
what
he
would
got
have
paid too.
happened. I have my concerns with the Jags, yes, and I don't want to shy away from that, but I also think they have a high floor because of the pieces they already have in place. Now, with the Texans, this is a team that for most of the 2026 season, their
Bro,
goal should be to score.
the Texans got a chance to be the most scariest team in the AFC this year, dog. Only if 7 locks the fuck in, dog. CJ, you cut your dreads off. You got buff. You out here looking like Fousey, my nigga. You better lock in this year, gang.
20 points
No troll.
offensively. Because if they do
You
that in
better
every
lock
game,
in.
I would be shocked if they didn't win at least 12 games this year. This defense is absolutely loaded, and I will say this for Texans fans, prior to the 2026 season beginning, you often hear the phrase, "I wish somebody told me we were living the good old days while they were going on," or some variation of that quote. And how this translates to
They
the
wasted a
2026
generational
Texans
defense
defense
last year,
is
dog.
these are the good old days. Will Anderson and Derek Stingley are both 25 years old and in their prime. Danielle Hunter is aging, yes, but still had 15 sacks last year and is finally getting the recognition he's deserved for his entire
Facts.
career. Kamari Lassiter and Kalen Bullock are also great players,
He
and to
been great
opposing
ever since the
offenses
Vikings.
this year, good luck, because you're going to need it. And they also added Keelan Rutledge and Caden McDonald in the 2026 draft with the goal in mind to be a bigger and stronger team. The elephant in the room, of course, is CJ Stroud, and he's had his ups and downs throughout his career, and I do think he's had a tougher situation than most people would acknowledge. Unfortunately, the most recent game the Texans played was the divisional round playoff game against the Patriots, which understandably left a sour taste in people's mouths with CJ Stroud, and I get it. He threw 4 interceptions and could have thrown 2 or 3 more, and I'm not excusing that performance, but if they can limit the turnovers in the playoffs next year, because believe it or not, they finished second in turnovers offensively in the 2025 regular season, then they're going to be a big problem. What should be noted for the 2026 Texans is they had 8 turnovers in the 2025 postseason compared to 12 turnovers in the entire 2025 regular season. Now, before we continue, social media can be very harmful, and recently
Go ahead and skip that, you know what I'm saying? Alright, let's jump back into this video.
just during the AFC South portion, we did not mention the Colts or Titans. What I will say about the Colts is I have questions around their receiving depth as well as their edge depth, and I also have concerns about Daniel Jones, given he tore his Achilles late in the 2025 season. How he
all the AJ Brown rumors swirling around of him going to the Pats, if I was the Colts gang, nigga, I would step in and make my offer, bruh. No bullshit. Like, you trade away Michael Pittman, your best contested catch receiver. You know, you still got Alec Pierce. You paid him in bag. You're expecting him to step up into a much bigger role this year. You got Josh Downs. After that, you don't really have much at receiver, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? You got Tyler Warren, cool. But, like, at receiver, you don't have much. So, if I was the Colts, and when June 1st hits, I would make sure to put in my offer, my nigga. No troll. So, y'all better look into AJ Brown, because this receiving core right now, not looking too good.
Will play in 2026, especially as he gets the
mobility they did draft
the early
Deion
parts
Burks,
of the 2026
like,
season.
You got two
and
small
if I am
receivers
wrong about the
with
Colts,
him
I
and
will be the
Downs,
first
so I don't
to
know how that's
acknowledge
gonna
that I'm wrong.
correlate.
But with the concerns I have with this team, and also factoring in their first 3 games of the 2026 season are home against the Ravens, at the Chiefs, and home against the Texans, I think there's a very real reality this team starts out 1-2 or 0-3, and I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs. If they do, I think they would be a wild card round exit. With Tennessee, I think that they're a team that improved this offseason, and given they only have 6 wins over the last 2 years combined, I think that they can really only go up. But for the 2026 season, I think a successful season for Tennessee would be somewhere in that 6 to 8 win range, and I do acknowledge I think they're doing a lot of things right. I just don't think that they're quite ready for a top 7 seed in the AFC to be able to get to the postseason. Now, with that same thought process in mind, that is largely how I feel about the Las Vegas Raiders, though I do think the Raiders took substantial steps to improving their football team this offseason, and I don't want Raiders fans to watch this video or head into the season thinking, great, here comes another 4-13 or 5-12 season, because I think they did a good job in terms of raising their floor, especially on the defensive side of the football.
The one thing that I didn't like what the Raiders didn't do, bruh, you know what I'm saying, is the fact that they didn't really upgrade that receiver room. Like, obviously they brought in Jalen Nailor, cool. Jalen Nailor's a solid, underrated receiver. But, like, I don't understand why they didn't draft a receiver in, like, the 2nd or 3rd round, bro. There was a lot of great talented guys there. They passed up on Denzel Boston, Chris Brazzell, you know what I'm saying, Jeremy Bernard, you know, some more guys up there as well, Jacoby Lane, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't understand why they didn't do that. They must have a lot of faith in, you know, Jack Bash, who they drafted in the 2nd round last year, Dante Thornton, Trey Tucker, you know, so I don't know, but we're gonna see how that our receiving core turns out this year. But I just feel like they should have done a little bit more in that department. That's just me though.
And I've said countless times that I really love the Tyler
They
Linderbaum
upgrade that
signing,
defense
and I
though,
think
so
that that will
I
prove to
do
be a
like
good
that.
signing over the course of the next couple of years, and it's never a
Kobe
bad
Bean,
idea
Quay
to
Walker.
continuously invest
Then
in
he
the
traded for
trenches.
Karen
But
Johnson as
for
well.
the sake of the postseason, I don't think the Raiders are going to go from #1 overall pick to divisional round of the playoffs, a field goal away from going to the AFC Championship game this year, respectfully. Now, with the Kansas City Chiefs, the two biggest concerns I have with this team entering 2026 is the receiving room as well as the ability to get after the quarterback. I will be the first to say I commend Brett Veach for going out and spending top dollar on Kenneth Walker and also drafting Emmett Johnson, a player who I thought was significantly better than where they drafted him. They selected him at player 161 in the 2026 draft. I had him at player number 67 on my big board. So for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career, there will be a legit run game. And I think that this is something that the Chiefs are going to have to heavily emphasize in 2026 if they want to consistently win games. Now, one big misconception I think about the 2026 Chiefs is there's kind of this belief that, shucks, 2025, nothing, just a down year. Yes, we know it was the worst year in Patrick Mahomes' career so far as a team, but hey, no worries, we'll be back. We're the big bad Chiefs. I don't think that that is the case at all. And it is insanely impressive that the Chiefs were able to get to 5 Super Bowls, at least so far in Mahomes' career, and the worst season they have had when Patrick Mahomes starts, outside of last year, of course, is losing in the AFC Championship game. I know the 2010s Patriots had that several-year run. The Chiefs had that several-year run to start Mahomes' career when he took over, excluding 2017, his rookie season, of course, when he only played the Week 17 game against the Broncos. But that is not normal. I don't think that we can just look at the Patriots now that they have Drake May and assume that they're going to be next, because, again, that is not normal. But when you look at the Chiefs' receiving room entering 2026, it's guys like Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Royals, and Cyrus Allen. Now,
I ain't gonna lie,
with
they better give my nigga Jalen Royals some more PT, bro. Cause I'm gonna keep it about. He was a dog. I think it was like at Utah State. He was a dog,
Chiefs
bro.
undrafted free agents, there's a lot of hope that somebody like
targets,
Jeff Caldwell can step up because he's a height, weight, speed guy. Obviously, everybody knows how strong Patrick Mahomes' arm is, and whenever there's a height, weight, speed guy, it's kind of assumed that, hey, this guy is going to be awesome. We can't wait to see how he plays with Patrick Mahomes, but he was an undrafted free agent for a reason, and there is cause for concern with the Chiefs' receiving room entering 2026. There is also cause for concern with the Chiefs' tight end room, as outside of Travis Kelce, it's Noah Gray, Jared Wiley, and Jake Brenningstool, and Travis Kelce is also not the same player he was 3 or 4 years ago. The 2026 Chiefs are going to have to rely on the run game a lot more than they ever have, and regarding their edge rushing situation, I think George Karlaftis is a fine player, but he's nowhere close to the caliber of somebody like a Will Anderson or an Aiden Hutchinson or any of the other big dogs, Myles Garrett, anybody, right? Micah Parsons.
But I do like their D-line, though, because obviously, you know, they got Chris Jones. Chris Jones is always going to be a big factor. They drafted Peter Woods, and they drafted R. Mason Thomas at the top of the second. So I kind of like what they have in that room. Now, R. Mason Thomas isn't really like a 3-down type of edge rusher. He's more like a designated pass rusher, but the speed off the edge he possesses, bro, oh my gosh. On third downs, like third downs and long, bro, you pin his ears back and let him reek after the quarterback, bro. It's gonna be a nasty sight.
He's nowhere close to that level, despite having consistent pressure numbers. Nobody's going to confuse George Karlaftis with those players, and outside of Karlaftis, it's guys like Felix Anudike-Uzomah, Ashton Gillotte, and R. Mason Thomas. And I have a lot of questions regarding
Gillotte got a lot of
entering 2026, as well as R. Mason Thomas.
Uzomah might already be a
belief
bust.
that the Chiefs are going to be fine, no worries, just a down year in 2025 is not one I'm buying, and this all plays into why the AFC is so wide open entering 2026. Now, with the Los Angeles Chargers, there's going to be a lot of comments about If-Man and Justin Herbert, so I'll just go ahead and get in front of all of those now. What I will say about the 2025 Chargers is their season was significantly altered by both Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt going down, and again, I know there's a lot of people that are going to comment If-Man about Justin Herbert, but if your team had not one but 2 Pro Bowl caliber offensive tackles go down, I simply ask the question, how would your season have played out from there? And whether you
Trust
would
and believe. I know how bad it gets when your O line is dog shit. Trust and believe, bro. Lamar missed a lot of games last year that he shouldn't have missed. You know what I'm saying? Because of how bad our guards were. So I can relate to this, man. You know
admit
what
it
I'm
or not,
saying?
we know
I
what
can
the answer
relate
would
heavy
be.
to that.
And Justin Herbert did not play great against the Patriots in the wild card round.
It was
The
bad to the
offensive
point where I
line was
think
also
Herbert
horrible. But
broke his
what
hand
I
or
will
some
say
shit.
about the Chargers last year is it's not a coincidence that Justin Herbert had the highest rushing yards total of his career, and it was because he was largely running for his life. Hopefully that improves in 2026. Also, hopefully Omarion Hampton stays healthy. And the one thing that I will say that I think will
They got
prevent the
him and
Chargers
Key
from
Mitchell.
going far into the playoffs,
Hopefully
it's
they
not
give Key
Justin
Mitchell
Herbert,
more
although
touches,
he
bro.
did
More
not
than
play
what we
well in the
did.
Texans playoff game in 24, obviously, and he didn't play well last year, nor did the offensive line, but that's besides the point, is having Jesse Minter be the Ravens head coach. I think that that will be a substantial blow to this team entering 2026, but I do think that the Chargers have one of the higher floors of any team across the NFL. Quite frankly, again, barring major injury to guys like Justin Herbert
Isn't
and both tackles, again, I would be
Mike
pretty
McDaniel they
surprised if this
OC
team
now?
finishes with less than 7 or 8 wins in 2026. And I think that everyone can acknowledge, even if you are not a Justin Herbert fan, that nobody would be surprised if this team is a wild card team again in 2026. Now, in terms of them going to the Super Bowl, I think that the receiving room is a bit limited, and I do have some questions along the interior offensive
They got a
line
lot
as
of
well.
young
Hopefully
guys
they
in
get
that
figured
core.
out this year, and hopefully both tackles stay healthy. But pertaining to the Chargers' ability to make the playoffs, I don't think that there is any dispute that this team could be a top 7 team in the AFC this year. Now, I don't know if this is because of East Coast bias or maybe because they don't play in a premier market, but the Denver Broncos are a team that could easily go to the Super Bowl in 2026. This is one of the most
coulda went
complete
last year,
rosters
Bo
in the
Nix ain't get
NFL, and
hurt.
usually whenever you look at teams' weaknesses entering the year, you kind of say, all right, how is this team going to be prevented from going to the Super Bowl? And you can make an argument their running back room is not the best. Their receiving room, while adequate, and I love the addition of Jalen Waddle, by the way, it's still not top 3 or 4 in the NFL. Their tight end room could use some improvement, and also their inside linebacking room, not amongst the best, but I feel like that's nitpicking because there are still a lot of teams that wish they had what the Broncos had in these regards. Obviously, Pat Surtain is one of, if not the best corner in football. Zach Allen in 2025
One of the
became
most
the first
underrated
player
interior
since
D-linemen,
J.J.
bro.
Watt to
And
have
I'm so
back-to-back
glad that he's finally getting the praise he deserves, bro. Being in the NFL top 100 list. Wait, was he? Yeah, I think last year he was in the NFL top 100 list, bruh. I'm so glad he's finally getting the praise he deserves. Gang, one of the most underrated defensive linemen in the NFL, bro. Probably like top 3 most underrated.
seasons with
100%.
40 plus quarterback hits in the past 20 years. Bo Nix routinely is one of the most over criticized quarterbacks in football, and I think some of it is due to draft position, given he was the 6th quarterback taken in the 2024 draft. That if Bo Nix misses a throw with 3 minutes left to play in the second quarter in week 7 in a game that Denver loses by 3 points, well, guess what, buddy? You're never going to be good enough. You're never going to be able to hang with the Allens and the Mahomes and everybody else in that world, the Burrows, the Lamars. You're never going to be good enough. And it drives me crazy for Broncos fans. They are a very complete team, and they nearly went to the Super Bowl last year, and I would imagine a lot of us feel that way based on how that game played out, based on how Jarrett Stidham played, that if Bo Nix does not break a bone in his ankle in the Bills game in the divisional round, that they're probably going to the Super Bowl to play Seattle. Now, I do think that Seattle would have won the Super Bowl against the Broncos, but this is a very complete team, and when you look at the weaknesses on the roster, I would argue it's nitpicking more than anything. The defense is spectacular. Again, they have 2 of the best players in football in Pat Surtain and Zach Allen, and I wouldn't be opposed if you threw Nick Bonito in that mix as well for how good of a player he
Jonathan
is.
Cooper.
Absolutely love Nick Bonito as a player, and there's just not enough good things that can be said about the 2026 Denver Broncos, and I think one of the biggest factors into why the Broncos are kind of underrated still heading into the 26 season is they lost the AFC Championship game, and they also are not in a premier market to have the big talking heads constantly promote this team and constantly hype up this team. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if this team reaches the Super Bowl this year. Now, with the AFC East, as you can imagine, we're going to primarily focus on two teams. I like a lot of the players both the Jets and Dolphins brought in this offseason, and think guys like Omar Cooper Jr. and Kenyon Sadiq will substantially
Jets just
help
need a
whoever the
fucking
quarterback of the
quarterback. That's
future is
all
for
they
the
need,
Jets,
dog.
and that Chris Johnson, Jacob Rodriguez, and Chris Bell, and even Kevin Coleman Jr. will be good draft picks for the Dolphins, but I don't think either are going to be contenders for the 2026 season, and I don't think many people would disagree. If you do, please let me know why below, and I'd be eager to hear a different point of view. But the New England Patriots are coming off of a Super Bowl appearance in a year they went 14-3, and in a year where they finished second in points per game offensively and fourth in points allowed per game defensively. And while yes, I do think they will have kind of a regression to the means year in terms of their record this year, simply saying the Patriots got to the Super Bowl last year because of their schedule and calling Drake May the schedule is an extreme disservice to what they accomplished. Drake May
Yeah, and
completed
I'm gonna keep it a
72%
buck,
of his
bruh. Like, people act like the Patriots made their schedule, but like they could pick the teams that they play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand why people do that. Yes, the schedule wasn't the hardest, but can you blame Drake May and the Patriots for the schedule that the NFL gave them? Like,
passes and threw 31
I never
touchdowns at
understood
23
that
years
game.
old, and also ran for
Never
another
understood that.
450 yards and 4 touchdowns. Travion Henderson had over 1,100 total yards and 10 total
Cause
touchdowns
like,
as a rookie,
let's
and
keep it a
didn't
buck. Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw the Patriots making the Super Bowl last year. Let's keep it a buck, gang. You know what I'm saying? They
play a
had
lot at the
no
beginning of the year,
high
which was
expectations
frustrating to
whatsoever.
watch from afar,
So like,
and I do
just
think
cut
he
them
will
some
only
slack,
get better.
dog.
Christian Gonzalez is one of the best players in football, and I do not think it's wrong to say if
Yeah,
he
Gonzo
does
played
not
his
play in
heart
the
out in
Super
that
Bowl
Super
against
Bowl, dog.
Seattle, the Patriots lose by at least 21 points. They also have both Milton Williams and Christian Barmore along the interior defensive line, and like with the Jags, I think this team has a very high floor. Now, again, I think even Patriots fans would be surprised if they win 14 games in back-to-back years, but for people thinking the Patriots are going to have a 4 or 5 win season this year is not something I can get behind. Statistically speaking, they're probably not going to go back to the Super Bowl, but they're still a good team and could easily win double-digit games. Now, with the Buffalo Bills, this is a team that's led by who I believe is the best quarterback in football in Josh Allen. Josh Allen is coming off of a 39 total touchdown season in a year where he finished third in MVP voting. They also have James Cook, who led the NFL in rushing last year and had 12 rushing touchdowns and nearly had 2,000 yards from scrimmage. The Bills not
Jets
going to a
defense, oh
Super Bowl
my
in this era,
gosh.
at least to this point, with a once-in-a-lifetime type player is both surprising and extremely unfortunate. And for as good as Josh Allen is, it's tough watching 15 in red go on to win 3 Super Bowls and appear in 2 more, while you haven't been to the Super Bowl as a franchise in over 30 years. My biggest cause for concern with this team entering 2026 is not having a true number 1 receiver, and I do think that could hold the Bills back this year. And for as great of a player as Josh Allen is, there are times where he tries to do too much, and not to say he was
Yeah,
the reason
and
they lost in Denver
it
last.
showed a lot last year, bruh. That Eagles game for sure, especially like when he was going for 2. Like, I don't understand why they went for 2 right there, especially with the change of the overtime rules. You know what I'm saying? Like, just take it to overtime game. This game right here, he definitely was trying to do too much because I don't understand what this play was.
Year because he wasn't, but it's
But like, what was
a
he
tough
trying to
pill
do
to
right there,
swallow,
dog?
knowing you lost by 3 points in the
And then he
divisional round of the
fumbled.
playoffs
I think the
with
first
the
drive coming
sequence
out of
the Bills had
halftime.
before the half against Denver last year. Buffalo has been such a good team for so
Right.
many years that a Super Bowl
tries to play
appearance feels inevitable at some
man
point,
ball
and I don't think
every
anyone would be
single
surprised
game, bruh.
if Buffalo
Tries
made
to
it to
put
the
that
Super
cape
Bowl
on.
this year. It's just unfortunate how each of their last 5 seasons have ended, knowing how close they were going to the Super Bowl in each year, really outside of 2022. Buffalo, of course, will be playing in a new stadium this year, and they could certainly host an AFC Championship game in the first year of the new stadium. Now, with the AFC North, we start with the Cleveland Browns, and what I will say is the conference is wide open. However, I don't think that the Browns are going to make the playoffs this year. if somehow, some way they make it to the AFC Championship game, they
They
will
had a good
prove
offseason though. I
thousands
will
of
give them
people
that.
wrong. I would imagine most of us feel the same way about the Browns entering 2026. I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs this year, and I will leave it at that. Now, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it was recently announced that Aaron Rodgers is coming back for one final year. This is his proverbial last dance. I am
Yeah.
still not moved by the Steelers this year. I think that this is going to be, in a lot of ways, a rinse and repeat of the 2025 Steelers. If they win the division again and if they win 10 games again, I think at maximum they're going to be a divisional round exit. I would imagine, again, a lot of us feel the same way. I do feel bad for Steelers fans, kind of having to go through the same song and dance for the past several years. And I don't think that they're going to get past the wild card round, though I would welcome being wrong. This team has not won a playoff game since the 2016 season. I feel bad for the fans. I feel bad that TJ Watt is probably going to be a future Hall of Famer and still does not have a playoff win at this point in his career. Though I would welcome being wrong, I just think that the Steelers are going to repeat a lot of what happened in 2025 in 2026. The Baltimore Ravens are up, and as we know, this is a team that was a couple of feet away from winning the AFC North last year,
And I ain't
and
gonna
this is a
lie,
team that I thought
I'm so happy. Like looking back at it now, I'm so happy that Luke missed this because we got no more John Harbaugh, man. Feels great. And what's going on in New York right now with the Giants? It's like okay. I'm not too big on politics, bro. I hate politics. I don't even like talking about politics, but it's some going on right now with Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter, and Dart was at like a Trump rally or some shit like that. I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? To be honest, bro, because I try to stay out of the whole politics thing because I think it's stupid. You know what I'm saying? But also, it look like players already getting hurt from John Harbaugh's practices, man. Like Zay tried to tell y'all, I tried to tell y'all, Giants fans, bro. Good luck this season. Y'all have a stacked roster. Y'all got a whole bunch of talent, but Harbaugh is gonna be y'all downfall this year, bro. Y'all gonna realize sooner rather than later. I'm telling
improved
y'all right
from
now.
last year this year. Two of the biggest upgrades I think the Ravens could have possibly made from Week 18 till now was replacing Andrew Voorhees and Daniel Falele at the left and right guard position, and they drafted Vega Iwane from Penn State, a player that I think could be a multiple-time Pro Bowler, or
Yes.
should we say Pro Bowl caliber talent based on where the game is now.
We got
And they
our
brought
own
back
tribal
John
chief,
Simpson, who
man.
spent 2025 with the Jets, a player who I think will be an upgrade from Daniel Falele.
He
They
played great
also
in his
drafted
first stint
Zion
with us,
Young in the
so
second round, and the Ravens
hopefully he can
quietly
continue
have
that.
three players that can get after the quarterback in Trey Hendrickson, Zion Young, and last year's second round pick Mike Green. And they also brought in Jesse Minter to be the team's head coach.
And we
And
also
I
got
think
Namdi Matabike if he gets cleared to come back. You know what I'm saying? Travis Jones, who led us in sacks last year in the interior. We brought back Calais Campbell. You know what I'm saying? Then we got, Kyle Hamilton who can blitz off the edge. Marlon slot blitzes as well. We brought in Jalen Hawkins. Still got Nate Wiggins. Cheeto Uzie drafted Chandler Rivers. We still got Malachi Starks. Bro, this roster is stacked. Even at the linebacker position, we got Roquan, who's a consistent tackler. Well, last year, tackling was a little iffy with him. I ain't gonna lie. Buchanan was great last year before he got hurt, before he tore his ACL. So hopefully he comes back stronger. Hopefully Trent Simpson can step up this year. I'm expecting him to take a big leap under Jesse Minter. I think I just named everybody that's a big piece on our defense too. And we still got some solid role players as well with Aeneas Peebles, TJ Tampa. So we got two rookies who both tore their ACLs last year, and Longer Beam and I forgot other cuz name. But this roster is like I feel like it's fully complete. We could possibly bring in another corner, maybe another edge rusher. But like right now, I like how this roster is turning
this
out,
team
bruh.
is going to be better in 2026 than what we saw from them in 2025.
But yeah,
I'm also
and
really eager to
I didn't even talk about the offense. Oh my gosh, bruh. Zay Flowers, Jacoby Lane, Elijah Surratt, Tez Walker. I'll throw Rashad Bateman in there because he's still on the team right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets traded. LaJohntay Wester, Mark Andrews, hopefully he steps up, this year, because these last couple years been a little iffy for him. Uh, I do like our tight end core. Matthew Hebner, who brought in Josh Clavers, who most likely will be a tight end slash fullback hybrid player, most likely. You know what I'm saying? We signed Durham Smythe, former Bears tight end. Brought in Declan Doyle as our OC. Still got Derrick Henry. And, bro, Derrick Henry looks even more massive now, dog. Good luck tackling, bro. I ain't gonna lie. We drafted Adam Randall. Offensive line looks way better than it did last year. Yeah, that's all the points I really wanted to cover, bro. Like, this team as a whole, bro, looks really complete, gang.
See how Declan Doyle is as the team's offensive coordinator compared to now Browns head coach Todd Monken. And one of the biggest things that I'm really looking forward to in 2025 is seeing Lamar Jackson, or hoping Lamar Jackson plays in more games than he did last year. Whenever you make a video like this, I can't project what injuries teams
I didn't even
and
have to
players
bring
are
up
going
Lamar,
to
bro, 'cause
sustain
y'all already
throughout
know.
the course of the season.
Y'all
But
already know how
Lamar
Lamar
missed
get,
some
you
time
know what I'm
last
saying?
year, and you would like to think that that obviously played a part in the Ravens season going the way that it did, as it seemed at a point that the Ravens could not get out of their own way, whether it be because of games like the Bills game in week 1 or because of injuries they sustained in the first couple of weeks of the year. And even if they got into the dance last year, I don't think that they were going to go to the Super Bowl and represent the AFC against the Seahawks. But the point is, a healthy Ravens team coached by what I believe will be a better coaching staff with Jesse Minter and Declan Doyle is one I can get behind. And anytime you have Lamar Jackson as your team's quarterback, I know people are probably going to get their postseason jokes in the comments,
Yeah,
but
like,
this is a
you can't even bring up Lamar nowadays without people be like, oh, what's his playoff record? Oh, has a ring? Oh. If we gonna keep it a stack, my nigga, most quarterbacks in the AFC right now, outside of fucking Mahomes, has a damn ring, my nigga. Alright? Like, I hate when people be bringing that up, gang. Like, Mahomes is the only quarterback currently starting in the AFC right now that has a ring. Like, let's keep it a stack, my nigga.
A team that, if they get to the divisional round of the playoffs this year, which nobody would be surprised if they did, then anything can happen. I also can't wait to see Derrick Henry play behind a healthy offensive line this year, and hopefully a healthy Nnamdi Madubuike as well. The one part of the Ravens that concerns me is the receiving room. I do have a lot of concerns there, especially with the depth. But
am I the only one who doesn't have any concerns with our receiver room? Like, yes, we have just a lot of young players. You know what I'm saying? With Zay heading into his 4th year in the league now. Got 2 rookies. We got Tez Walker who's going to his 3rd year. Jonte going to his 2nd. Bateman going to his 5th or 6th? Because we draft him 2021. This should be his 5th year, I think, right? If I'm not mistaken. Like, we do got a lot of young players. I wouldn't be surprised if we do bring in a veteran receiver, maybe like D-Hop or maybe Stephon Diggs. You know what I'm saying? But I'm okay with this receiving core, bro. Am I the only one? Like, I'm okay with this receiving core.
See how it plays out. I do like Elijah Surratt, a rookie they drafted on day 3 quite a bit, and hopefully Zay Flowers takes a step in what will be a contract year for him. Now, regarding the Cincinnati Bengals, we've done a lot of videos this offseason regarding not only the Bengals, but most improved teams from last year to this year. They will be linked at the end, and the Cincinnati Bengals are a team that improved quite a bit from where they were in Week 18 to where they are now. Obviously, one of the big elephants in the room is Joe Burrow having 3 season-altering injuries in 6 seasons. If he goes down, there's nothing I or anybody can do or to predict that happening in 2026, so obviously, first and foremost, we hope he stays healthy. But the Bengals bringing in Dexter Lawrence, I thought was a tremendous trade. I think that Dexter will be a really good player for this team. And whenever we talk about teams succeeding in January, being able to get after the quarterback is a prerequisite for success. Facts. You are not going to win games consistently in January by having 0 pass rush and hoping that you can draft a team full of Pat Surtains that can guard opposing players for 7 or 8 seconds and hope that you can have a coverage sack somewhere. That is not a winning recipe. So for the Bengals to go out and get Boye Mafe, for them to bring in Jonathan Allen, Dexter Lawrence, to draft Cassius Howell in the second round, along with Miles Murphy coming on towards the end of the 2025 season, as well as a first-round pick in Shamar Stewart last year, this team very quickly went from having next to zero depth to having what appears to be a good defensive line heading into the season. And when we talk about advantageous situations and setting guys up for success, I would argue on the defensive side of the football from a pass rush situation that obviously T. Higgins and Jamar are in a good situation with Joe Burrow, but the Bengals pass rushers are in a similar situation because of having Sexy Dexy right in the middle of the defense. The Bengals, I have been a team I have not bought into in the past couple of years, and I've kind of been you know what, they're going to allow 35 points to somebody a couple of too many times, but I think those days are over, and the Bengals, to me, are a team that did a lot of things right this offseason, and for the first time in a couple of years, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they get back to the Super Bowl for the second time in the Joe Burrow era. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel as we're closing in on 250,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you enough for the support. Thank you to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's video.
Hey man, shit, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Y'all let me know what other NFL videos you want me to react to. Without further ado, I'm out.